Welcome back. I'm so glad you're here for Chapter 2 of Runaway Cove. If you missed Chapter 1, just go to the playlist and you can listen to them all in order. I will be putting the entire book up here on the YouTube channel. Thank you for being here. Runaway Cove, Chapter 2. Miranda sat in the sand next to the stranger in a wedding gown, wishing she hadn't given in to the kids' insistence on a walk along the beach before dinner. This was more than she had bargained for. But these days were tricky in the aftermath of their father's decision to move to Boston, no longer able to coach Little League or be a daily part of their lives. The divorce that had been so amicable for 5 years was strained. There was another woman involved. This Miranda had figured out. She had lost Kyle long ago, but now the kids were losing him too. So they walked on the beach, got ice cream after school, saw more movies in the theater, anything to avoid long empty hours that used to be split between 2 parents, and now could only be filled by 1. But at this moment, there were practical matters. Most pressingly, a woman clearly in some sort of crisis. "Alan, can you run to the car and grab a towel?" She pulled the key fob from her pocket. "And maybe pick up a bottle of water from the case in the back?" For once he did what he was asked without argument. Cecilia, too, seemed shocked into silence finally. She had asked hard questions of this woman. Now they simply sat nearby. "I'm all right," the woman said. "I didn't know how heavy the dress would get. It's my first time in the ocean." "Your first time?" Cecilia asked. "Where did you come from?" "I live in Chicago," the woman said, "but I drove here from Ithaca." "From your wedding?" Cecilia asked before Miranda could shush her. The woman nodded. "From my wedding." "Why did—" This time Miranda was ready. "Cecilia, let's not pry." She glanced around. "Are you parked nearby?" The woman hesitated. "My car ran out of gas, but it's only a rental." "Do you have family here?" Miranda asked. "We could give you a ride somewhere." Another long pause. "No, I don't really have family." Cecilia sucked in a loud breath. "Nobody?" Miranda didn't shush her this time. Her maternal instinct rose up. This woman wasn't that old, early 20s. How could she have no one? Hadn't her family been at her wedding? Alan returned with a towel and water. He also had 3 bags of chips pilfered from the box she kept in her Suburban, in case a parent forgot the post-game snacks. Thought she might be hungry? Miranda took the towel and wrapped it around the woman. That was a good idea. She passed her the water. "What's your name?" "Cricket." "Like the bug?" Alan asked. This got a smile from Cricket. "Like the bug." Cecilia shook her head. "Is that what people call you? I'm Cecilia." "Pretty much," Cricket said, unscrewing the cap of the bottle. "There aren't very many good nicknames for Cricket." Miranda held up the bags of chips. "Not exactly nutritious, but you're welcome to them." Cricket took the ruffles. "Thanks." The kids grabbed the other 2 bags and quickly pried them open. They had a 6th sense for when their mother wasn't going to stop them from eating junk food. Lately, it had been more often than she liked. Everyone munched for a moment, the crunching sounds backed by the crash of the waves. This was supposed to be a quick look for sand dollars. "What are you going to do?" Cecilia asked. "The 2 inns are full. It's tourist season." Cricket took a long drink of water before answering. "I'm not sure. I wanted to see the ocean." Cecilia's fingers flew over her phone. "There are lots of hotel rooms in Boston." She turned the screen to Cricket. "Oh," Cricket said again, "I left without any money or my phone." Miranda's concern grew. She didn't just have a half-drowned bride, but a destitute runaway. She didn't have the bandwidth for this. She was barely keeping her head above water herself. "We could put some gas in your tank," she said. Cricket considered this. "Where am I exactly?" "Runaway Cove," Cecilia said. then repeated the tiny coastal town's slogan, "A place to run from your cares." I definitely did that. Cricket neatly folded the empty Ruffles bag and tucked it under her leg so it didn't blow away. She sipped water, looking out on the horizon. "Are you trying to get home?" Miranda asked, "now that you've seen the ocean?" "I have things in Chicago, but I'm not sure I want them." She grimaced, as if remembering something terrible. Miranda was powerfully curious. Had her groom cheated on her and she found out at the last minute? Or stood her up at the altar? That seemed like the plot of a movie, not real life. "You didn't even take your phone?" Cecilia asked, holding hers against her chest. She couldn't be caught dead without it. Miranda frowned, realizing she was swiftly losing the digital battle. Both of her children seemed hopelessly addicted. "I didn't have any place to put it in my dress," Cricket said, gesturing to the slim gown, "and I wasn't expecting a dramatic exit." "Can't you go back, get your things?" Cecilia was stuck on this point. "Cecilia, I'm sure Cricket has a lot to think about." Miranda stood up. "We'll have to look for sand dollars another day. It's getting close to dinner." "We can't leave her here. She has nobody." Cecilia's voice was strident, the last word carrying on the wind. Cricket lay back in the sand, coating her damp hair. "I'll figure it out. I always do." "I was serious about buying you gas," Miranda said. "Is there somewhere you can drive to?" "Nope." "A job you can return to?" "Not that either." Cecilia grabbed her arm. "Mom, everyone is hiring for the high season. Tandy's grandma is so desperate, she asked me to help at the coffee shop." "You're not getting a job." Miranda had to nip this immediately. "You're only 14. "I meant for Cricket." "I used to work at a coffee shop in Notre Dame," Cricket said. "Everyone thought my latte designs were hilarious." "What did you make?" Alan asked. Cricket didn't answer, and Miranda could guess what college students would find funny. "Did you get your degree there?" Cricket's laugh was hard and sharp. "No, I worked nearby, but it was a good job. I had roommates. I had a life." And now she didn't, it seemed. "I'm calling Tandy," Cecilia said, already holding the phone to her ear. Miranda kept quiet. If Vicky could give this woman a job, she shouldn't stand in the way. And the tiny shops lining Runaway Cove's old-fashioned Main Street were always looking for help. Lately, the supply of teen workers had dried up, even for summer. Cecilia's generation didn't seem to want to get their driver's license or rush toward independence. She heard all about it when she worked the concession stand at the baseball field. None of the mothers could understand it. They had all raced to the DMV the moment they were eligible for a permit. Cecilia's voice was chirpy. "Hey, Tandy, ask your grandma if she still needs a coffee shop person. We met someone new in town who has lots of experience. Oh, and ask her where she could live." Miranda suppressed the need to shake her head. These were big things, jobs and living arrangements. You didn't come up with solutions in a single phone call. Cecilia dragged a finger through the sand as she talked. "Yeah, sure, we can bring her over." Cricket hadn't moved. Cecilia dropped her phone in her lap. "So, Tandy's grandma said if she could get there in the next hour, they could talk. Otherwise, she's closing up and it'll be tomorrow." She turned to Cricket. "What do you think?" Cricket sat up, sand cascading from her long hair. "Why are you helping me?" Cecilia shrugged. "That's what we do here, right, Mom? Isn't that what you always say? Runaway Cove is a family." She did say that, especially when Kyle first left and she leaned on the other mothers more than she expected. "I guess we better hurry then." Alan pointed out the obvious problem. "Is she going to the coffee shop in that?" They all turned to Cricket in her sand-encrusted wedding gown. Cecilia surveyed the dress. "She could pull an enchanted and use the fabric to make a normal outfit." Cricket plucked at the satin. "I'm fresh out of mice and songbirds." Miranda smiled. Something about Cricket made you like her. She clearly was in her darkest days, and yet she could make a joke. And to be honest, This time in the sand was the most she and her kids had talked in weeks, since Kyle had turned his Runaway Cove cottage into a rental and moved out. Wait, he had turned his cottage into a rental. But the listing sites hadn't approved it yet because he needed photos, which meant it was empty, and the kids had a key. She didn't want to mention her idea, always avoiding any reminder of their father's desertion. She tucked it away for later. "We have the beach bag in the back of the car. It was there, right, Alan?" He shrugged. "Sure. You going to have Cricket wear a swimsuit?" "No, there are t-shirts and shorts in it. She can try on both mine and Cecilia's. It will be something." "I have that cute yellow shirt in there." Cecilia scrambled to her feet. "She could borrow that." She snatched the key fob from where Alan had left it in the sand. "I'll go get it." "No need," Miranda said. "She can't change out here. We'll stop by the convenience store. She might want to freshen up anyway." The three of them stood ready to initiate the plan. But Cricket still sat in the dregs of her dress. "You okay?" Miranda asked. "Maybe." Cricket clutched the water bottle like a lifeline. It was Cecilia who grabbed her arms and pulled her to standing. "Come on," she told her. "Come with us before Mom infamously changes her mind." Did she change her mind often enough to be infamous? But she picked up their trash, and their little crew headed toward her Suburban, Kyle carrying the pile of discarded lace. She liked all of them united in a purpose, and with Cricket as an unexpected fourth, preventing the kids from squabbling over who got to sit up front, it felt for a moment that some odd new semblance of balance had been restored.